near a goldfish pond at 39 Ellsworthy Road, where Sigmund stayed until the house at Maresfield Gardens was ready. Lucian was extremely fond of Sigmund, and later flamboyantly wore his grandfather's fur-trimmed greatcoat around London. He refused to go to the funeral, causing a family scene. "Doing so would have been absolutely meaningless to me," he told writer John Gruen in the 1970s. Even at that early age, Lucian was considered a wunderkind. "I met him first in the winter of 1938-39, and he was already spoken of as a boy wonder," wrote one of his first chroniclers, Lawrence Gowing. He was in a studio flat in Charlotte Street, round the corner from the house where Rimbaud and Verlaine took rooms, in company with a self-appointed Svengali who showed him off, whispering behind his hand, "Marvelous." And something else, less tangible. He was also, notes Gowing, fly, perceptive, lithe, and with a hint of menace, characteristics which would remain lifelong traits. This slightly sinister quality was also observed by Stephen Spender, one of the first to reproduce Freud's work, who thought of him as totally alive, like something not entirely human, a leprechaun, a changeling child, or, if there is a male opposite, a witch. It was not only Lucian's extraordinary looks, remarked on by the artist's friend Bruce Bernard in his authoritative monograph on Freud, that made a striking impression, but what Gowing describes as the pointed intensity apparent even in Freud's juvenile vision. That pointed intensity would be Freud's leitmotif. Lucian Michael Freud was born in Berlin on December 8, 1922. His middle name refers to an archangel, as do those of his two brothers, Stephen Gabriel and Clement Raphael. His father was Sigmund's youngest son and fourth child, Ernst, thought of by the family as a Glückskind, or lucky child. Although Ernst had originally wanted to be an artist, at least so Sigmund told his famous patient, the Wolf Man, in a discussion of his son's career, he decided on the more pragmatic profession of architecture. But he remained steeped in the arts. According to Gowing, who saw a series of his 1913 alpine landscapes, Ernst was an accomplished watercolorist, and like many German youths, he was an ardent fan of the poet Rainer Maria Rilke, so much so that Sigmund wrote his dear friend Lou Andreas Salome, famously Rilke's lover and mentor, asking if she could arrange a meeting between Rilke and his son. Rilke returned the compliment by sending Ernst a book of poems, Field Sermon, by his friend Regina Ullmann, which he personally inscribed. Ernst eventually did meet the poet in Vienna in February of 1916 when the young soldier was at home on leave from the army. Lucian's mother, after whom he was named, was Lucy Brush, the daughter of a prosperous Berlin corn merchant, Joseph Brush, and his wife Elisa. Lucy studied classical philology in Munich, as well as art history with the famous Swiss art historian Heinrich Wöfflin, for a year in Munich, after first reading German studies in Berlin. Zentner, the daughter of Lucy's older sister Gerda, describes Lucy as tremendously vibrant and vivacious, and intellectual. She had done classics at university, which was fairly unusual when she was a young girl. She was very funny and very beautiful, with jet-black hair. As for her background, Lucy's father was a president of the Corn Exchange in those days. It was a Buddenbrook sort of family. As Clement Freud put it in his memoir, Freud Ego, "My father's family was distinguished. My mother's was rich." Ernst first attended the Technical University, Technische Hochschule, in Vienna from 1912 to 1913, studying mathematics, engineering, and sketching after nature and the body, among other courses. In 1913, he left Vienna for Munich, where he studied architecture with Theodor Fischer at the Technical University Technische Hochschule in Munich, and according to Gowing, also took an art course. He volunteered to fight for the Austrian-Hungarian army in 1914.